Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and my internet connection has been out all morning. That is why you are not getting a video until right now. But I've got a lot of information and we're going to go through it right now. Here we go. The first thing I wanted to make some of you aware, I don't know how they do it, but the scammers have gotten a hold of a lot of our email addresses and they are putting out scam emails pretending to be Ripple. I wanted to make you aware of this. If you get this email in your, email, it's a scam. It's not from Ripple. This one I saw yesterday. The tide of change has washed ashore to turn things around. Basically, they're acting like there's some kind of giveaway again, preparing more than 4.3 billion XRP for distribution towards the ones that matter most, our dedicated community. This is all a scam. They've even put Ripple's address in here, and it's a total scam. So do not send your XRP to anybody. Now, I want to give a shout out. Brad Combs, who has the Digital Perspectives channel, you need to go give him a subscribe. I'm going to play you a clip. He did an excellent job. He found this. This is Brian Brooks, the comptroller of the currency of the United States, or at least the interim one. Remember, the other guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he stepped down just as Brian Brooks happened to become the deputy comptroller. And now he's the comptroller of the currency. Remember, Brian Brooks is from Coinbase. He also came from One West Bank, where he worked with the prior comptroller as well as Steve Mnuchin. Okay, and I'll tie some other things in a second. But this is Brad Combs. He found this video. It's a recent interview with Brian Brooks, and I'm going to play a good bit of it for you. Watch this.
And then we'll break down everything after it does the full run. So here we go.
Yourself really as the acting comptroller of the currency. And maybe you could just give us an overview of your origin story.
Well, you know, look, I've been in financial services at some level my whole career. And one thing I've seen just in the course of my kind of professional lifetime is over time, consumer preferences change and then technology changes, and then eventually institutions have to change with it or die. And so, you know, having come out of a normal banking legal practice long ago, I found myself at one point running a bank, and then I found myself investing in fintech companies. And then I discovered crypto, all of which is about sort of the evolution toward the future, right? And so, you know, banks have been our financial intermediaries for hundreds and hundreds of years, but they weren't created the way they are now, and they don't have to be the way they are now forever. So the way I would talk about crypto is really about the future of money. Money transacts through a financial services system that I regulate, and the historical way we had a financial services system was through banks. One of the things I'm really focused on here, and I know we'll talk more about that, is the idea that, you know, banks and the concept of what a bank is has to evolve to meet the times. And I think crypto came about at a certain moment in time for a reason. You know, it happened just as the financial crisis was unfolding, just as there was the first inkling of a lack of confidence in fiat money, not just in the US, but around the world. And while the great news is that the US economy remains strong and that the US dollar remains kind of the central reserve currency of the world, there are more reasons than ever to believe that money has to evolve in a bunch of different ways. That's what crypto is all about. So I've been working on the evolution of financial services my whole career. Crypto was kind of the apotheosis of that. And the fact that now I get to sort of oversee the system that one day will include crypto is pretty exciting for me.
Whoa. Oversee the system that will one day include crypto.
Exactly.
There's no
That's what I was
doubt in his
picking up.
mind. This is happening.
Brian, that's fantastic. You know, for at least the past 2 years that I've been at the Blockchain Association, obviously regulatory issues have been on the front lines, and we've heard a lot about the SEC and the CFTC, also FinCEN, but it wasn't really until you showed up at the OCC that people started talking about it. And I think the point you made
What a
about
coincidence.
banks needing to evolve is very important. But can you kind of talk maybe a little bit more specifically about some of the ways that crypto companies can interact with your agency?
Listen very carefully to what Brian says here. This is a stream of incredible insight and information of what is about to happen in this space.
And what powers you have over crypto?
So, Kristen, first of all, remember the good thing about crypto is nobody has power over it. That's the whole point of crypto. I know that's why we're all here, and I respect that fact a lot. What I would also say is one of my missions at the OCC is never to see another news story that says ... an obscure regulatory agency, the Office of the Controller of the Currency. So you all can help me dispel that idea. The way that the OCC works in the ecosystem and the way that crypto companies will eventually come to work with us, I think, is we are the chartering agency for banks. None of the other agencies that you mentioned charter companies. They certainly don't charter banks, which are the central way that value is exchanged in our society. And so if what crypto aspires to be is an alternative way of transmitting value across networks versus through centralized banks, that has to start someplace. It has to start with the real world that exists today, and that's the banking system. So I think over the next few weeks and few months, the OCC is going to start speaking to crypto in some very direct ways, starting with the simple and evolving into more complex ideas.
Few months.
We're going to have to say, for example, what we think about national banks being able to custody crypto assets, because
Ooh.
We're going to be speaking to crypto in very specific ways. And over the coming weeks and months, we're going to have to speak to the fact of whether banks can custody crypto. I mean, this is just powerful what he's saying. This isn't a YouTuber or a podcaster. This is Brian Brooks, who's heading up the OCC, the national charter for, and going to write the federal charter for the entire banking system and release it in the fall, he says.
As you know, people who hold crypto, especially people who hold large amounts of crypto, want it custodied in a way that's safe and secure. They don't want their private keys stolen. Historically, banks have been the most important custodian for other assets. So what do we think about that activity for crypto? There's a huge issue around digitized dollars. You know, this has been a subject of central bank research in England and China and elsewhere for several years now. The U.S. has had a pilot, sort of a study on central bank digital currency for a while. The question is, what role should the banking system play with digitized dollars?
Now, that was interesting because he said the U.S. has had a pilot on digitized dollars, not papers, but a pilot. Now, I tell you, up until now, I've heard John Carlo talk about they need to.
All right, I'm going to stop here. But so you got this guy, you got Brian Brooks, okay? You got the CFTC, Giancarlo that Brad just mentioned. All these guys are I'll show you how Brian Brooks, they're all tied to Ripple in one way or another. Every single one of them. Giancarlo works for a law firm that is one of Ripple's counselors, their attorneys, okay? Brian Brooks, now look at this. This is for many of you that haven't seen this before. I'm going to show it to you. So this is Brian Brooks on LinkedIn. Look right here. Brian Brooks was he was at One West Bank. He was one of the attorneys at One West Bank, vice chairman. Now it's CIT Bank. One West is the bank that Steve Mnuchin ran and eventually sold to CIT Bank. This guy, Brian Brooks, is one of the guys that helped him do it. The other guy who was the comptroller before him was also at One West Bank with Steve Mnuchin. Now, look right here. The guy who's Ripple's general counsel now, Stuart Alderoty, where was he? Right after that, Brian Brooks was at what became CIT Bank until 2014. And then in 2016, Stuart Alderoty came on as the general counsel at CIT. Then he leaves to go to be the general counsel at Ripple, of all places. Well, Steve Mnuchin, this is how it all happened. In 2015, Mnuchin sold One West to CIT Group for $3.4 billion. After the acquisition by CIT, Mnuchin remained at One West and became a member of CIT Group's board of directors. As of August 2016, Mnuchin owned this. On December 2nd, 2016, Mnuchin resigned from the board of directors at CIT as a result of his selection as nominee as Secretary of Treasury of the United States. So he leaves on December 2nd, but so Stuart Alderoty, here's when Stuart, on September 13th, 2016, before Mnuchin leaves, they appoint Stuart Alderoty as the general counsel at CIT. So all these guys are related. If you think Brian Brooks and Stuart Alderati don't know each other, then I'll show you. Here's a document from the Assembly, California legislator. This is from October 17th, 2017. To give the business perspective at this meeting, which was virtual currency businesses, the market, and regulatory issues, the business perspective was given by this person, and then Brian Brooks, who was then Chief Legal Officer at Coinbase, and Stuart Alderati, General Counsel at Ripple. Does my son need to draw you all a picture? I hope not, but he can draw the picture. Okay, and then you got this tweet from Stuart Alderati here in the last 24 hours. The crypto industry, in my opinion, has passed the line of inevitability. It's going away. The only question is how big it will get. If you want to work on some of the most cutting-edge legal issues of the day, come join us. And he's tweeting this out. Basically, this lady's talking about how crypto law might be a good practice area for attorneys. We're talking about a whole new field for attorneys. I believe that a lot of attorneys are going to be misplaced as middlemen in a lot of situations, especially like real estate attorneys by blockchain. But there's going to be new opportunities, and anybody who's out there in law school right now, this person's right. If I were you, I'd be looking into crypto law. It's coming. Perfect Symmetry sent me this. Brad Garlinghouse is going to be, this is on Friday, this Friday, July 17th, Fireside Chat with Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. He's going to be on stage at this Parallel, which is done by the Chamber of Digital Commerce. And then there was this, Binance US. Do you have any questions for VeChain? Sunny Liu, Catherine Coley is going to be asking your questions in a very special video AMA. If your question gets answered, you'll score a fresh Binance.us hoodie. I want a Binance.us hoodie, but I would rather be able to open an account in Georgia, which I cannot do still. Ripple tweeted this out. Learn more about how Ubri accelerates the technical development and innovation in blockchain. Anytime Ripple tweets something like this out, I try to mention it. So you can go to the link and check that out yourself. Ubri is their university blockchain research initiative. I'll show you who it's done with just so you can see it if you haven't seen it before. These are some of the participating schools. University of Oregon, Penn, that's Wharton right there, Carnegie Mellon, Duke University, Georgetown. So some high-name, highbrow schools, University of Waterloo. All right. XRP Crypto Wolf, the Bank for International Settlements Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure Stage 2 report to the G20, Enhancing Cross-Border Payments, Building Blocks of a Global Roadmap. The Global Roadmap will be officially launched at the G20 in October. That's big time, folks. All right. Now, somebody emailed me this. I didn't know how to give them credit because I didn't know what their Twitter handle was, and I didn't want to say their name. But they emailed me this job posting from the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada has a vision to be a leading bank, central bank, dynamic, engaged, trusted, committed to better Canada. And if you keep going down the project, the Bank of Canada is embarking on a program of major social significance to design a contingent system for a central bank digital currency, which can be thought of as a banknote, but in digital form. This project will require us to break new ground. It will take into consideration a wide variety of factors, including policy considerations, diverse stakeholders, etc. So anyway, this is happening, folks. It's not some pie in the sky thing. Maybe it was in 2013, but these central banks are going to have their own digital currencies. The United States is going to have its own digital dollar. And guess who is going to be one of the bridge currencies for all of that? That would be XRP, the greatest digital asset ever created. All right. And then there was this from XRP Crypto Wolf. The Bank of England's getting in the game too. Their governor said the UK's central bank is working on a digital currency. The UK's central bank governor said, I think in a few years' time, we will be heading towards some sort of digital currency. And it will be a very big issue. It already is a very, very big issue. And this is happening sooner than you think. Now, for a great laugh, I thought this was hilarious. XRP, the Standard Productions, tweeted this out. Ripple SBI deal in jeopardy after Capital discovers Garlinghouse's Cobra Kai passed is what the article says. And David, so for those of you that are Karate Kid fans, I grew up on the Karate Kid, and so I thought this was hilarious. This is apparently Brad Garlinghouse. He was a Cobra Kai, according to XRP, the Standard Productions, and Yoshitaka Kitao had a problem with it because he's from Japan. And then David Schwartz replies and says, we all know the truth, and he's tweeting out this video called The Karate Kid. Daniel is the real bully. It's a parody on the Karate Kid. Very funny. You should watch it. But here's the article. Ripple SBI deal in jeopardy after Kitao discovers Garlinghouse's Cobra Kai past, potentially destroying one of the most exciting and promising partnerships in financial and blockchain world. SBI CEO Yoshitaka Kitao announced Monday he's considering backing out of his deals with Silicon Valley company Ripple after discovering its CEO Brad Garlinghouse was a former student of California's infamous Cobra Kai dojo. This is just funny. What's even funnier is how some people online get mad about this. It's amazing to me because this is so obviously parody, and we all call it parody. It's hilarious, and I love what XRP, the Standard Productions, does. Finally, I wanted to finish this video by showing you this. This is interesting. Survey finds that 71% of crypto asset investors prefer institutional custody, citing concerns around security and death. Self-storage and death is basically saying that people, they're worried about dying and then nobody being able to figure out where the digital assets are. And then it goes on to talk about iTrustCapital, and that's where you can open a crypto IRA where your XRP can grow tax deferred or tax free. I opened a Roth IRA with these guys. And by the way, in the description of all my videos, you can click on the link, and there's a coupon code where you can get 1 month free with iTrustCapital. But these guys, they do their institutional custody with a company called Curve. Curve, by the way, is funded by the Digital Currency Group, which also is an investor in Ripple and Coinbase. Curve is legit. Curve also is where one of the guys I met that was one of the best salesmen I've ever seen when I was at Swell, his name was, I think, Waleed. I can't remember his last name, but he left Ripple and went to Curve. But Curve is legit institutional custody operation, and that's where, if you have an IRA with iTrustCapital, that's where your digital assets are stored. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button. Tell your friends and family. Go check out iTrustCapital. It's iTrust. You can look in the description of my video, and there's a link to it, and it gives you all kinds of information about it. Thanks for listening.